How's it going, my fellow parents? Hey, today is a special day for me and Jordan. I have a little surprise for you. Are you ready for this surprise?
For me or for the viewers or for the listeners?
I don't know, man.
It's for everybody.
Today's a celebration. You know why?
Okay. Right.
Because, Jordan, today marks our 100th episode together.
Oh, dang.
You and I. 100.
100? Oh,
Yes.
It's a big milestone. Yeah, I did not realize that. Wow.
So Jordan and I
100
reached out to
episodes with Sean Donohue. Wow. Can't believe I made
100
this far.
episodes. So I reached out to Jordan about 2.5 years ago, saying, hey, I started this podcast. I'm doing it by myself. And but I don't want to do it by myself anymore. Can you please do it with
I'm
me?
so honored you asked me. It's been so fun.
100 episodes.
100 episodes. That's so cool.
And you know what? We just kind of are like, hey, what will be will be.
Yeah.
This is like we're going to do the best we can to reach. If we reach one person, that'll be great. And we've been in 132 countries.
So far, our kids are growing up, and they seem to be developing into great humans.
Yes.
You know, I just was scrolling through Facebook today, and I remember earlier in my career, I had these. It's kind of a sad story, actually, but I'll circle back to us. So we would have this couple on, and they would give marriage counseling every week. They'd come on, talk about marriage. Yeah. Well, I just saw today they're divorcing. Right? After like 20 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the guys like giving us advice. Mm-hmm. And now and so what I'm trying to say is circle back, like we're giving advice about our kids. So far, our kids are doing pretty good. So hopefully they continue to pan out that way.
Yes, all right. That is one of the challenges of having like a parenting podcast or field, because like if your kids start going through a bad path, it wrecks me. It's super hard, but 132 countries. But before you get too excited, I got to tell you.
Oh.
Don't get too excited.
In Kosovo, yeah.
In Kosovo,
okay.
We only have one download.
Hey, but at least we have one. You know what? We should go there and find the one download person.
Well, we have to go to Serbia. And do you know where the North Mariana Islands are? Do you know where they are?
No, I'd have to.
I mean, either. I had to Google it. It's a tiny island next to Guam. So that means, before you get too excited, we only have, I know, I Googled it. It looks beautiful. Yeah. Only one download, which means they listened to us and they were like, these guys suck. I don't want to listen anymore.
Never came back. Oh, man, that's hilarious. That's cool, though.
I was at a fundraiser for my buddy's new nonprofit. It's called Playing Through Men's Mental Health, kind of built around golf, and think of it playing through. So I'm really, really proud of what he's going to do. He's going to develop it. And I was chatting with my friend Shane's wife. Her name is Monica Nauvoo, and she was telling me how much she's enjoying our podcast. And
shout out to Monica. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. And it really meant a lot. I asked her, just trying to get to know her. So who are some of your favorite podcasts that you like to listen to? And I don't know if she was being serious or if she was joking, but she says, yours. And she laughed. And I was like, it's just so nice. It just means so much. Doing a podcast, everybody, is so weird and kind of isolating experience. So please use Instagram to message us. Email me directly at Sean@parentingmodernteens.com and just reach out to us, because that's actually what we're doing today, Jordan. So on Facebook, I think I have like 500,000 followers on Facebook, and one of my followers is a dad named Sean Murphy, and he writes me a lot, just really encouraging comments like, hey, great video. Thanks so much. So I reached out to Sean and I said, hey, man, thank you so much. Just your words really encouraged me.
Yeah.
And I asked him, hey, is there a podcast like episode that you would like for Jordan and I to do together?
Right.
And he responded, man. Yeah.
He did. Oh, he did. Gave us some advice on what we should talk about. What did he say?
All right. It's pretty deep, actually. So we're going to build a whole episode around this question from this awesome dad, Sean Murphy. I thought about your question a lot. A podcast episode I would listen to and like to hear what you would say about is the way parents handle their boys and girls and differences between them. Mm. I've struggled with the difference between the way I treat my girl 10 and boy 12. So see, that's interesting just right there. He struggled with the difference, the way he treats his kids. So it's like, it makes you wonder what's going on here.
Sure.
My boy is a feral animal. In the best way possible. Yeah. Super active, very athletic, loves to be physical with me, and roughhouse. He demands much of my time. My girl is sensitive and could sit by herself and read for hours. Polar opposites, really. I catch myself treating her a little rough sometimes. Each child demands a different way of communicating as well as needing different types of attention and affection.
Amen.
Navigating their individual feelings and needs is a tough go. Thanks for asking me this. So that's what we're going to do today.
That's a great topic. And in fact, I just had this conversation with my wife not too long ago because I've got boy-girl twins. They're the same age, though. So kind of similar to Sean, except mine are the exact same age.
Oh, right.
And I 100% treat them similarly, but yet there are different avenues where I try to change my parenting style. But what my wife said to me, she's like, when you're hard on our son, he can take it. But when you're hard on our daughter, she can't take it.
Interesting.
And I'm like, well, that's not my fault. She needs to, toughen up. The world's not, the world's not easy.
Right.
But, my wife's even saying, like, maybe instead of raising your voice or yelling, because she'll come to me and say, why does daddy always yell at me? Maybe you need to let me handle that, and then you do this. So we're actually going through the adjustment process right now. So this is going to be a great topic for us to dive into.
What a great person to have to help talk about that as a dad of twins, boys and girls. So like, if that's not a living example of like the challenges of parenting kids differently, like I don't know what is, like, right? So please share.
And
share
my
some
kids
stories.
are very similar to what he's saying. My daughter's an artist. She likes to sit and play with dolls, and she loves doing her nails with the mom and learning about makeup. And my boy's, got a ton of energy, wants to go out. And so they are completely different. And I guess, we need to really think about that with our parenting tactics. The hard part, though, Sean, is like, moms are known for being understanding. Dads are known for being tough, generally speaking, of course. But it's almost like the tough dad needs to loosen up a bit when it comes to which kid he's parenting at that moment.
This is why we're doing today's episode, because it's just such a complex topic. You might have a really typical daughter, or you might have a really atypical son. And so we're going to talk about parenting. Here's something that I want to say real quick is that for some parents, this is a sensitive topic. It's like, what do you mean? You just parent kids all the same way? Or what do you mean? I'm a very modern parent. I don't have gender roles for my sons or gender roles for my daughters. For us, and I can speak on behalf of Jordan, this is not a sensitive topic, and it's not a complicated topic. Like, yes, we're going to be talking about nature and nurture today, but here's a quote from an expert. She has a website called Doc Robin, and she looked at some studies about this, and this will help us to understand a little bit of where we're going to go with this episode. Jordan, let me read the quote. Let me get your thoughts. For the most part, Doc Robin writes, studies on sex differences suggest that about 2/3 of all boys behave in a manner that is used to describe male behavior, and 3/4 of all girls behave in a way that most girls behave.
Right. So there is a fraction that are different, like you're saying, but generally speaking, the majority of them, boys will be boys, girls will be girls, is what you're saying.
I think that's fair. And so today we're going to be use some generalizing language, and at times we won't be.
Sure.
And so I hope you can, be, as you listen to us, hope you can be chill and graceful for Jordan and I as we talk about these things. And so the theme of how we're going to do this, we have 5 categories that we're going to invite you to think about and empower you with. These 5 categories are emotional development. Number 2, communication. Number 3, learning styles and motivation. Number 4, risk-taking and independence. And number 5 is social pressures and pressure. And there's 5 categories we're going to be talking about, and then there's one big action step that I'm going to tell you at the end.
Beautiful.
And it is very good.
Okay.
So it'll help you understand and simplify this. If you get any confused or like, oh, it's a lot of information, this action step will be really, really helpful. Before we do, let's just do a little bit of getting to know you for a second. Everybody just ask yourself this question. If you were hanging out like around a picnic table with some friends and you ask the whole group, what scares you about raising boys? Just boys. And ask the whole group, what scares you about raising girls?
Oh, this is a good dinner topic conversation with some
What comes up for you? Because you got boys and girls. I have just 3 girls, but I know a lot about teen boys. What scares you about raising, let's say, pick one. Yeah,
Okay,
boys.
so I could see how inappropriate boys can be, right? I mean, even I was just at church this last weekend, and like there was an example. We were talking about it, and our pastor said something like, "Some of you have been gracious enough," and this was specific, "to allow teenage boys to come into your house and to hang out," right? And you're just like that category of like
Oh
teenage.
my
Everyone knows
gosh.
like they're smelly and they could be inappropriate.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just like
Scary.
I don't know if
Yes.
that is scary, but what can be scary is if they have they don't understand the importance of responsibility, right?
Peter Pan
Responsibility,
syndrome.
right? Towards other girls, towards
Oh, yeah.
their studies, towards their peers, their elders, right? And so
good. That's
I've
scary.
had friends
I
in
agree.
high school. They didn't have any of that, and they went down a pathway that just wasn't the best. And so I fear for my boys of that. I want to make sure that they have a good head on their shoulders. They respect their elders and women
Well
and their
said.
peers and their teachers, and I want them to have their own thought process and their own ideas of what they want to do, but I also want them to do it the right way.
Well said. Gosh.
Now, you don't have boys.
I don't, but I know a lot about boys.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
I
you
don't
do.
need to have boys to know a lot about them. I have been around them. I've been mentoring them. I've been listening to them. I've been listening to them tell me their secrets, their fears for 25 years. I think for me what comes up with boys is exactly the fears that I have is exactly what you said. It's just this selfishness, this
Yeah.
Peter Pan syndrome. I don't want to grow up.
Why do you
I
call
don't
it that? I've
care.
never heard this before. Peter Pan
Yeah, it's like,
syndrome.
well, Peter Pan, he doesn't want to grow up.
Oh,
It's like Neverland. I don't want to grow up.
want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Actually, yeah, I'm singing Toys R Us, but I think there's.
But
a
I
Peter
know what you're
Pan.
saying. I know what you're
It's
saying.
like that's what we look at. If you look at like a 21-year-old male that who's really floundering, like what is really going on is he's extended. It's extended adolescence. He doesn't want to grow up, take
Right.
on the responsibility
or
of
the 30-year-old or the 40-year-old. I see
Exactly.
people who are much older.
Right.
That I'm like, you're still acting like a child or a
Yeah.
teenager. Like,
And that's like, because like you think about like what something scary for me is teen boys behind a wheel. That's scary.
Yes,
And
it
what
is.
is it? They're getting that aggression, and they're thinking they're boundaryless. They're thinking they're like nothing bad's gonna happen. They're
Correct.
thinking they're outside the
Invincibility.
law.
Yep.
Invincibility. That's
Yeah.
scary. Right?
very
It's scary for our sons and daughters that are walking around trying to cross the street in front of
Right.
Target. I was in Target. I went to Target to pick up something at like 9:30 p.m. and two teen boys in these huge trucks. They sped by the front door of Target and with their loud like monster truck sounds, and then they just sped by, and I was so pissed off. I imagined myself like going over there, parking my big truck right in front of them, and just like having it out. And I was like, I'm not going to. Let me just. But that's
Is
so
his name Nick
scary.
Schleif? We've
Yeah,
all had
oh,
those
yeah.
friends in high school
Uh-huh.
who had the big truck and did just that. And it's hard
Yep.
because, I don't want to. Now, some of those kids are great, respectful people in the world, and they're awesome. But you have to go through those growing pains. And some kids go through those growing pains and they don't come out
They don't come out.
positively. They might not
So
even come out
that's-
at all.
And that's scary.
It's
I was
very
one of those
scary.
kids. I did a lot of, like dangerous things that were really not good for society or for other people. Also, what scares me about boys is pornography.
Sure.
It scares me about boys because I just know how corrosive it is.
Yep.
Drugs scares me,
Yeah.
because it can be so addictive. And, little pot, sophomore year can lead to more pot, can lead to, smoking pot junior year before school, and that can lead to a little pill here, a little Molly here, senior year, a little cocaine on senior year. It's just, I'm not trying to scare anybody. It's just, how about girls? What scares you about girls?
Yeah, girls, them getting hurt, right? Whether it's physically or emotionally, right? Social media, that scares me about girls just because they're going to compare themselves to everybody else and they want
That's
to,
Scientifically fact proven that social media and girls does not do well. It leads to anxiety and depression and comparison. Yep, doesn't happen so much with boys. Please continue.
I'm scared of these boys we just talked about being in my girl's life, right? Some of the fears that we have for boys, having one of those boys in my daughter's life, I'm scared for that.
Me too.
I'm scared for, you could talk about premarital pregnancy,
Ooh, I like how you said that. Premarital pregnancy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
People don't use that term. I'm really scared about premarital pregnancy.
Yeah, mostly people say teen pregnancy, right?
But premarital pregnancy, that's scary. Yeah, I wouldn't want that for my
scary.
future grandchild, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely don't want them to have this career that they're, let's say they're, awesome in school and then something happens and especially what scares me is let's say they end up getting pregnant or fall in love with a boy and he hurts her or he leaves or he ditches out, right? And then she's left by herself. I'm scared for that. Loneliness. But
I got something I'm typing into Google right now.
Oh.
It's a really, it's not a good stat. I was going to talk about it on a podcast that I recorded yesterday, one of the ones I do by myself. But
do you want to talk about it now?
Do you know the stat of sexual violence against women? Like,
I don't even know how they would find that stat. So
sexual abuse, sexual violence. They're calling it sexual. Sometimes they call it abuse, but now they call it sexual violence. Have you heard what the stat is?
No.
All right. It's really high. It's really high.
Now, would
So
this
sexual
consist
device,
of like, let me just say you have a boyfriend or girlfriend and they're in high school and they are hooking up. That's not considered sexual violence, right?
Well, the definition here means physical sexual acts without the consent of the other person or when the other person is unable to give consent. It can include assault, rape, domestic violence, dating, but also like, I believe it's true to say like just unwanted touching.
Sure.
Right? Unwanted touching. So I'm having a hard time finding the stat, even though I had it right in front of me. But
you can keep looking. I just have.
I will.
Buddy.
I should be precise. If I'm going to talk about something so serious, I need to be precise. But it's
he just went and did a whole series at this high school, stuff that you've done before, where he filmed someone who was speaking to big audiences, and that person speaking asked that question like, who has been sexually assaulted or whatever this term is now, sexual violence toward them.
Yeah.
And he says there was not one woman who stayed seated. All of them stood up. Like every single one of them in the room. And I'm like, that is so sad. That's just terrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Well, the stat I found here it is. It's just looking at this stat, it just came up on Google. About 1 in 3 women have experienced sexual violence, including physical contact. 1 in 4 women have experienced rape. And it's just interesting because we have like, every family has like a small circle of friends or like your inner circle.
Sure.
I'm not going to, of course, name any names, but the far majority of the women in our inner circle have experienced sexual violence. And they're moms now, right?
Right.
They're our age, they're 30s and 40s. And then, but how about this? Are you aware of boys? I'm sorry just to, I didn't mean to be a downer here. I like to have talked about positive things on this. This is where we're trying to go with this episode. But 1 in 7 men have experienced sexual violence.
And there's such a stereotype between the two, right? Where like, you have those memes where it's like, you have the women who go through this and it's awful and it's terrible. And then you have the memes where the guys go through this and then you've got, well, I wish that was me. I wish I was blah, blah, blah,
Right.
And in some cases it could be
right.
really bad for the guys too. But
yeah,
I mean, that's why it's so important for us to be there for our kids to make sure that they will not be one of those or what to look out for those types of people.
Or if it does happen, because it really might, because we can't protect our kids, from these things. We just can't. Sure. They're not robots. We're going to be there to comfort them and to hold them and help them with their pain or their trauma. And so as we get ready to the 5 areas, here's what I want everyone to understand. As you think about yourself and think about raising your kids, a great lens to look through as you look at them is the lens of nature versus nurture. So our kids, they came out of the belly, pop. And that means their nature, like who they are, they're going to be prone to have this type of personality. Some are going to be more sensitive. Some are going to be more physical. Some are going to be more artistic. Some are going to be more competitors. Some of them, when they take a StrengthsFinders quiz or a Enneagram or a Myers-Briggs, that is what is going to happen. And then we cannot control that. But what we can control is their nurture, nature and nurture. the type of home that you live in. Are the parents married? Is there violence in the home? How much is there alcohol? How much money? What neighborhood you're in? How much love and tenderness? How much patience is in the house? And so that is what we can look at. So here, as we talk about the difference between try to help Sean Murphy and all the parents, how do we raise the difference between men and women? Here's a couple things before we think about. I did a Google search. What percentage of electricians in the United States are men, Jordan? What's your guess?
The majority, I don't know, 85 to 90%.
97.6.
Okay, yeah, totally.
How about this? All right. What percentage of men are working cement or concrete or masonry trades?
Well, if that was 96 or 97, I'd say 98.
99%.
99?
What percentage of firefighters in the U.S. are men?
Ooh, above 90, 93?
91. That number is shrinking, right?
It is shrinking. Yeah.
Right. All right. Now, how about this? I studied world literature at UC San Diego. I lived with you for part of my education.
That's right. Yeah.
What percentage of how many dudes were in my classes? How many?
Oh, in that?
No, let's go this. How many straight men were in my English classes at UC San Diego? How many straight heterosexual men were in my English classes?
And what was your degree
English.
again?
World literature.
Literature. I wouldn't say it's at 50. It's less than 50, but I'm gonna go 40%.
All right. First, I set you up for a great joke right there. You didn't take the bait. You
All
could. All right. Here's the joke. How many straight men were in my classes? You could have said 0. 0%.
Well, I didn't want to do that to you.
I know. You get here. You get that joke.
Get it.
That's a joke. This is a nice joke. No, I don't know, man. But it was about 10%.
It would be anecdotal.
I don't. Right.
You're saying majority of.
I don't know if they were
classmates-
gay or straight. It doesn't matter. It was just a joke. I don't know if you thought that was funny or not. Let's move on. All right. How about this? Nurses.
I screwed it up. Go
what
ahead.
percentage of women? No, you did, man. It was about 10% dudes. What
Yeah, it was the
percentage
majority women.
of what percentage of women are nurses?
You mean what percentage of nurses are women? 70. Let's say 70%.
70%.
Is that too high?
You know, I would have guessed too because I feel like there's a ton of men nurses.
There's
now.
a lot of men that I've seen. So
I would have guessed 70% are women, 30% are men.
What is it?
To my surprise, that in 2023, only 12% of the nursing workforce are men. So 88% are women.
Okay.
But back in 1960, 2% were men.
Oh, even less.
98 were women.
Yeah.
All right, last one. What percentage of public school teachers are women?
Ooh, this one's good. Ooh, this one's really good because I had a lot of men in my high school years.
Oh.
A lot of women in the younger years.
Yes. So
So I still don't know if it's 50-50, but I'm going to say 60 women, 40 men.
I think that is for high school, but
Okay.
for overall, I think you're totally right. 77% of public school teachers are
77
women. Based on according of the stat.
So
of
what
National
this
Center.
tells me
yeah,
is
what does
guys
it tell us?
It tells me guys aren't as smart. They want to work with their hands. Girls are more intellectual and they want to work with their brains.
Right. It just means like there's always going to be gender roles.
Yeah.
And we need women, we need men. And if you want to be a female electrician, go for it. We live in a country, you can do that.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a female firewoman, do it. And if you be a man who's a nurse or a teacher or work in a daycare, do it. Our country is amazing, right? We don't have to, we can be whoever we want. The American dream.
Totally. But going back to our kids for a second, as adults, when we go in these fields, there's going to be stereotypes that you're going to have to deal with, right? I mean, you're going to be like, oh, man, you're just a nurse. Why didn't you just keep going to become a doctor, dude? What's wrong with you, right? If you're a woman in the field of electricians or plumbers, you're going to have to deal with some of those men. They're going to give you crap, and you're going to have to step up to the plate and give them crap back. It's just unfortunate. For our kids, what I think you're going to get to at the end, teaching us what we need to do, is how we have to be different with our boys versus our girls. But the problem with that, Sean, is anytime I am different, what do I hear from the kids? Dad, you're not being fair. That's no fair. Why are you like that to him, but you're like this to me? Why isn't it the same for him? Why isn't it the same for me? Why isn't it the same for her as it is for me? This is not fair. So that's what's hard from a parent perspective, because you can't almost have it exact, because then what we're doing as parents probably isn't going to be what's best.
I love when you do that. You do it every episode. You just bring this real life dose of the real everyday American home, into this podcast. Let's put that on the shelf and let's address that soon, because that's just a brilliant struggle. Oh, really, you just say it very well. Let's go to this. I'll get us started. Here's 5 themes for today. All right, Sean Murphy, how do we parent our kids differently? Here's a couple things to think about. First, let's look at their emotional development. Boys may be less encouraged by society to express emotions. So,
True.
How do we parent? Which means my advice for you is parents should create a safe space for boys to share their feelings. My advice is to spend more time nurturing your son's emotional development. Girls, generally speaking, because of course everything we're saying is generally speaking here today,
right?
They receive more emotional validation. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
That they get more connection. Sometimes they can communicate more. Sometimes it's easier to listen to a little girl versus a little boy for some reason, but maybe that has to do with our own upbringing. But they can also feel pressure to be perfect or perfect people pleasers.
Yeah.
You've heard of these websites called First Five. Well, Australian has their own, and there's one of their writers at Australian First Five is Dr. Chilton. And this doctor writes that when things go wrong in the early years, boys and girls manifest it in different ways. Girls tend to internalize their unhappiness, tending to depression and anxious overvigilance. Yep, that is so my girls.
Yeah.
Whereby boys manifest it externally by becoming aggressive or angry. All right,
Yeah,
so let me
because
pause. A couple more
I think
things.
because boys don't know how to process let's be true. Both kids don't know how to process their emotions much. Adults don't even know how to process their emotions that much. Yep. But yeah, from a general perspective, guys don't speak about how they're feeling. They'll just go out and be angry. They'll hit a wall. What did therapists used to tell us to do? Go punch a pillow, right? Get that energy out.
Yeah,
go punch the pillow, right? And for guys, I think you're right. I think we need to allow more of an emotional space for them to talk, but that doesn't mean they're going to.
It doesn't. But it's almost like, since we know they're more wired for like physicality and aggression and anger, it would make sense that you would spend more time with your sons actually giving them tools to how to talk about their feelings, what's underneath the anger. It's almost like, since we know the culture and we know also the neurological development, it's like, how do we do this? So here's another way of saying it. Create a safe space for emotions and teach your sons that vulnerability is strength.
Oh, okay.
Instead of saying, big boy, don't cry.
Right.
Say, it's okay to feel sad. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And then for girls, all right, now some girls, generally speaking, they're more prone to go inward, maybe people pleasing.
Sure.
Right? Help them to develop resilience by teaching them to set boundaries, how to handle conflict with confidence. Encourage your daughters to express their needs, not always strive to please others.
Yeah, and that's hard just from personal experience, trying to convince our daughters to do that, right? Just conversations that I've had, like, well, the girls are being mean, they're doing this. Okay, well, why don't you try to do this? Well, I did, Dad. I've already tried that. It's not working. Yeah. Okay, well, why don't you try this? Well, I did that too. And it's just they think everything that you're telling them is not going to work, and they're scared to maybe try. But I think what you're saying is we got to often just continue to push them to.
I can't speak for my wife or for any female. I'm not one, but what I've noticed for not all. Of course, this is just a very general statement. Is that for many women, like 16 and up, it's really hard for them to have really healthy conflict with other women. Like, it's hard for them to just say it. Like, they kind of beat around the bush or they avoid it. Versus men, generally speaking, like, if you're having an issue with a man, you just be like, hey, what's going on with you, man? Like, what's up with that? Hey, you're being an idiot, right?
Yeah, right.
So see, this is how it maybe plays out in everyday life with conflict avoidance or people pleasing, or they don't want to, break the harmony of of whatever's going on. Are you sensing that at all with the women that you're around?
Oh, totally. Because it's like there's so many different forms of communication, and it feels like for the women that I've been involved with in my inner circle, they want to do everything except use words. It's like, well, let's kind of vibe it out, let's feel it out, let's use text messaging. I'm like, no, just give him a call.
Use text messaging.
Call him right now. Let's see.
Exactly.
Right?
Use text messaging versus calling them. Great example.
Let's talk and see how they're responding. Look them in the eye. Sit down with them for coffee. That way you know where they're coming from. You go through this text message thing, it's going to last 3 days. You're not going to know what they're thinking when they're saying it, and it can be drawn out.
So, again, I'm not going to try to abuse the word generally speaking on this episode, but while men might be more prone to either be conflict avoidant or just come off too harsh or too extreme, like you're getting feedback, you're too harsh. I get that same feedback with my daughter sometimes. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about men, too, everyone think about this. Partly one of the challenges of being a dad and being a man is that for some men, we have very strong voices. It's loud.
Yeah.
The tone is, deep my tone is. And we can scare children. And we're scary to children and teenagers. And so what that means for us men is that if we lose our temper, we scare people. And then we get scolded by our wives. And so it's confusing. And so we're more prone to just not say anything because we don't know what to say because it's scary, right?
It is scary. And that's where communication comes in. So that's the second tip. First tip Sean's talking about is emotional development and how you have to help them become more emotionally strong by using communication. And number two, the whole topic here is communication. So when we break it down, this again is for girls. They're more responsive to discussions and explanations. It's so funny because, I'll ask my daughter about something. It'll take 5 minutes to get like the answer out. I'm like, okay, can we just get to the point? And then you ask my son something, and it's like 1-word answers. And I'm like, wait, please explain. Like, keep going.
Totally.
And it's just so funny. But with guys, like we were talking about how they have more physical energy, right? And so one idea that I was going to throw out there, and I was going to wait for this segment, is like when we know that for boys they don't want to communicate that well, they might want to do something more physical. That's one of the reasons why I love sports, because you can, let's say you're upset, you can go out and run a mile or play catch or play some basketball, get out some of your aggression by the physicality. And then when you're sitting taking a breath, your buddy says, yo, dude, you doing okay? Or the coach is like, hey, I noticed something. Like, what's going on, right? And then they're more willing to be open, right? Isn't that true?
So true. Yeah, so another way of saying what Jordan's saying is you really want to communicate with your son, wrestle with them, take a football, throw it around, go on a walk, go on a bike ride. Like today, here's the story. We had some families over for Super Bowl, and we had a new family, and they have 2 sons, ages like 10 and 7. And to my surprise and to my disappointment, Jordan, these 2 boys, they didn't play with any other kids the entire Super Bowl party. And there was a lot of kids there.
They just played with themselves, those 2, with each other. Oh, they played individually.
They played on a phone.
Oh, that sucks.
The entire time.
That sucks.
Their parents let them play on a phone the entire 3.5-hour party while all these other kids, their age, are out there playing on my basketball hoop, running around, playing with each other, making up stories, doing arts and craft, eating food, talking, getting to know each other. And so they came over again on Sunday. And I was ready to make a scene, to be helpful, to help the boys to not use screens and maybe even talk about it. But what I did instead is let me try this first. Hey guys, how about we do this? Why don't we all go outside and let's all play a guys only game of knockout, which is like a basketball game.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
So we got the boys involved.
Yeah.
And then after that I said, hey, how about we play all of us? Let's play a little home run derby. So 4 or 5 dads and these boys were playing home run derby in my backyard, and we're just being active and talking. And then we go in, we're all sweaty and tired. We've been playing for an hour and a half maybe. And what are all the moms doing? They're all sitting on the couch talking.
Yeah.
Which is great because they had alone time, right?
Yeah.
And what are some of the girls doing? They've been playing with dolls.
Yeah. And that goes into the girls, right? So for the boys, you can go out and do this. For the girls, Sean's saying you could connect for more one-on-one talks, which makes sense. And it's a little easier to do that with our girls.
So do not let your kids play video games of baseball, of basketball. Right. Do not let your kids, when you have people come over, play video games of building Minecraft and Fortnite. No, instead get some Nerf guns, get some, get a trampoline and let kids be kids and live it up. Right?
That's good. That's good.
We talk about communication. How about this? Here's a little activity. Let's just do a little list. All right. What are a few things you should never say to a boy? What are a few things?
Oh, dang.
Right.
How about
like it's just
I
messed
dare
up.
you?
So good. That
Yo,
is so
I
good.
dare you to do this.
Oh my
Because you know they're going to do it, whatever
It's
it is
so
you say.
funny. That is so hilarious. I dare you. Dude, that is so good. I have to think of one, too. It's not going to be as funny as that. Okay, what else? A couple more things. What are some things you should never say to a boy?
Go do that to your mom. Go show your mom. Don't
I'll
say
go
that.
show your mom.
Don't say
oh, my
that.
gosh. Don't say that. Yeah. How about this? This is, I'm sorry. You're so funny. I'm just being all serious. How about this? You can't do that. You can't.
Oh,
You're not,
that's good.
You're not strong enough.
Oh, you can't tell me no, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. What we should never say to our son is probably like no. Unless like, you know what I'm saying? Like you tell someone you can't do something, it's like, oh, that makes you want to do it that much more. Not right now.
Yeah, it's true. You know what? You know what I hate is something like this. Like, gosh, you are out of control. You have no self-esteem. Yeah, or, I'm sorry, no self-control. You are so wild. You don't listen to anyone. See those labels?
Oh yeah.
You're labeling him,
Right.
and then if you keep those labels up, by the time they're 14, he's going to say, "Well, I have no self-control. I've been
That's
told this
right.
my whole life. I'm wild. I'm wild. I'm a wild animal, so I'm going to act like one."
Yeah. And for girls, like I was gonna go more serious as to like when you're being so annoying, right? Or you say something to them that really tears them down.
That's good. You can say that to a boy, but you should not say
or
that
not
to
even
a
you're being
girl.
like you are annoying, right?
That's good.
Or any word that would make them feel not loved by their parents.
I really don't think you should ever, call a girl ugly or fat, or talk about her body like in a negative, degrading way. I think that's so dangerous to talk about that with a daughter. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so funny because as I get older and in the industry I'm in, sometimes you're around some people who care a lot about the way they look.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, you're on TV.
Yeah. Not any people I work with now, but like through my career, it's like all they care about is vanity and
Yep.
and so I made it a point. This is terrible. I'm admitting this, but I made it a point to really ground them. Be like, and say something that would be like, well, you're not that pretty. Like, gosh, your hair today just looks right.
Are you joking or are you being
yes.
serious? Are
Yeah,
these
no,
like your
I'm
friends?
being serious.
I'm
as
guessing
to what
these
I'm
are your
saying, but I
are these
would
your good
do
friends
it.
that you're saying
Yes,
this?
yeah, they were
I'm
my
guessing.
friends. Where I'm like, listen, too many people tell you you're pretty all day. I'm just trying to ground you out a little bit. I'm just trying to make you make a reality check here. That and I do it as a joke, as like almost like a brother would pick on their sister.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay,
It
don't
sounds
do
like
what
it.
I did. Do what
Yeah.
Sean is saying, because
That's-
obviously
no.
it's not the great advice. But I just remember as I admit this on this podcast right now, I was like, oh man, I probably wasn't the best by doing that.
You know what the best thing you could probably say to a daughter regarding that is, hey, I think you're so beautiful. You're beautiful in my eyes, and you are beautiful. I hope you feel that way. And there's a lot of people out there that are gonna that feel like are gonna see you as beautiful, and they're gonna want to date you. They're gonna want to hug you. You don't need to change anything. You can just be who you are.
Yeah.
Now, am I talking about letting your kids eat a bunch of junk food and to become unhealthy
Right.
and obese? No, I'm not talking about that. That's a
Good
very
call.
different episode. Like, here's something that I didn't say last night. So last night I was with one of my teenage daughters, and we went to a really nice grocery store because they have a nice deli there, because we're going to pick out dinner for just her and I. And I said, I don't care where we go. We go to Chipotle. Let's just get something healthy.
Yeah.
So I got a salad with like some chicken on it. And then I was like, all right, what are you going to get? And she picked out kind of an unhealthy option and a sugary soda. and and chips.
Oh, chips. Salt and vinegar are my favorite.
Oh, so good.
So
a whole
good.
bag of chips. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? This is the exact opposite of what I said we were going to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't normally buy her sugary sodas. Like it was like one of those Henry Weinhardt's root beers, you know, which have like a ton of sugar in them.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's
But
also
you
a
know what?
daddy-daughter date night out. So what do you
That's
do
what I'm
in
thinking.
that situation?
That's what I'm thinking. You know what? And so I made the decision as I'm not going to say anything. Because like I don't want to, you know, she's a teenager and there's a time and a place for everything. This is not the time. And
Yeah.
I don't want to become that dad that's like, you know, sending some type of messages to my teen daughters. Now, if it
Sure.
was a boy who didn't have weight issues or wasn't struggling with his weight, I would probably say something because he could take it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, no,
Yeah.
we're not
Right.
doing that, man.
Right. What
But
do you-
because as a girl, it's like I want to be more sensitive to her.
Meanwhile,
that's-
I'm here thinking about you. I'm like, what do you salad with chicken? What the heck is wrong with you? Sean? Why don't you get the meatball sub, right? Put some Parmesan on that thing.
Oh, Parmesan is a great cheese.
So good.
It's a great cheese. All right, let's go to learning styles and motivation. Number
That's
3.
number 3. Okay.
All right, so here, everybody, we're going to play you an Instagram video. Excuse me. And I want you to listen to it. And then Jordan and I are going to chat about it for a second. So listen to this great video, the audio of it, and then we'll chat about it right now. That's a good video, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wrestling with boys, masculinity,
Gotta
gentle
be able
hands.
to. Yes. The heart. You know, it's tough because I've got some of this going on with my family right now. Is you can't tell a young boy growing up, you know, getting this testosterone in their body and wanting to get out and explore. Hey, calm down, sit down, stay quiet, don't move. Right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
instead of being like, no, you can do all this. Let's go outside and do it.
Yeah, channel that.
Yeah.
Channel that energy. Instead of saying, hey, don't do it, be gentle. We don't do that. No, say, hey, this is good. And give them an avenue. Give them a baseball bat. Give them a trampoline. Give them the punching bag.
Trampoline's good.
Take them to the park. Help them wrestle with their... Don't just watch TV about people wrestling. Teach them to wrestle with their cousins and their bros, right?
You know what I find out? My kids are turning 11, and when I get into a little wrestling match with my 5-6-year-old, they'll
Okay.
come in. They'll come in. Like, is it my turn?
They,
Still
yeah,
at this
they want
age,
in. They want in.
They want in.
My
right? And
8-year-old
it's fun.
daughter loves wrestling.
Oh, it's so fun. And then
She
I bring
loves
them in,
it.
and we're all it's a great time.
Here's a learning style. Here's something interesting. Listen to this stat. 94% of female CEOs have something in common. 94% of female CEOs played sports in high school.
Really? Wow, that's an interesting statistic.
Here's another study that Deloitte did. 69% of women who earn more than $100,000 per year and are in leadership roles played competitive sports. It's
Yeah,
interesting,
good team
huh?
players,
Yeah.
right? If they're CEOs and they need to manage other people, they know how
Yep.
they've been on a team. Yeah, that makes sense.
Learning styles. So here's what we're thinking here. Okay, you think
And they probably had older brothers. We should probably dive into that. I bet they had older brothers, or at least just brothers in general.
all right, let's talk about risk taking and independence. Tell me your
Okay.
thoughts on raising boys and girls with that topic.
Okay, we know boys are often more physically adventurous, all right? They might need guidance on assessing risk safety, right? Let me give you an example. High school, I'm hanging with Sean Donohue. He goes to a grocery store. He grabs a grocery cart. He says, all right, guys, get in the grocery cart. We
True
go to
story.
a hill. We go to a hill. Pushes us down the hill into a curb.
Yes.
We ram the grocery cart into the curb.
Boom.
Everybody in the grocery cart flies out of the curb and
Yes.
into the bushes.
Yeah, into the bushes.
Okay. That's the risk factor we're talking about.
Yes,
Right?
and we bonded over that, right?
Yeah, we did. We did.
We
and no one
liked
got
each
hurt.
other more.
No one got hurt. No
or
one
if
got
they
hurt.
did, they only got hurt a little bit.
Yeah. No, we had the sweatshirts. We got scratched up a little bit, but that's kind of low key compared to what. Or how about driving? Right? Sean talks about risk tolerance in driving. Right? My dad taught me you are in a loaded gun. This is basically the bullet leaving the gun, and you're in control of where it's going. So you need to make sure that you understand this vehicle and do not hurt what's in front of it.
Yes.
Anyway, girls might be more cautious and benefit from encouragement, like taking healthy risks or to take healthy
Yes.
risks, such as speaking up or trying new challenges. Obviously, the big difference between the two, I think as parents with one of each, we can understand that.
Very well said. I think I'm going to try to paraphrase my opinion on what you just said. Okay. If you have boys, you want to create a home where they're active and they have a lot of physicality. You want to, if you have it, you want to get a friend who has a boat and take them tubing. You want to take them hiking, skiing, wakeboarding, dirt biking. And when these boys, you have to spend time teaching them about the dangers around them. You with me, Jordan?
Yeah.
You just slow down and say, hey, you don't see this danger here, but I do. Now with girls, here's what you might need to do, is not spend time teaching them about the dangers around them. Because they can see those dangers.
Yeah, they see them.
You need to spend time encouraging them. Hey, see that bridge over there? And there's a river underneath it. Let's go jump off it. Hey, you can get behind that boat and you can go tubing or wakeboarding. You can do it. Hey, I believe in you. You can do this. Let's get on a bike. Don't be afraid. Let's ride bikes together.
Right.
They need that out of us, pushing them into that and telling them, I see you. You are enough. I believe in you.
That's good. That's really good. That's so interesting how, like, we have to parent differently with that. But, you know, it just seems like that's the case with kids of either female or male. And the problem now is with the physicality with boys, I'm worried about the gaming that everyone's doing, right? Esports right now is becoming so big. You can now get a college scholarship on esports, and all they're doing is sitting in a room, drinking Mountain Dew, eating pizza, and freaking playing these video games 24 hours a day, and they're not getting that physicality out.
It's like a version of physicality. It's a version of masculinity. It's why these video games are so popular. They go into these make-believe spaces where everything looks so real and so masculine and so violent, but it's not. It's a distortion of reality, and video games need to keep in their right spot into a child's life and in their brain. Absolutely.
That should be a topic we dig into later in a different episode. We should do that.
Yeah, we could. All right, social pressures, last one, and I'll give you your one action step. Social pressures and friendship. Here's a couple things. Boys often face pressure to be tough and independent. All right.
That's true.
We know that's true in our society.
Yep.
So what do we do about it as parents? Well, we should nurture emotional expression and strong friendships. How about this? When you're in middle school, you know, it's like a thing for middle school boys to not just tease each other, but like tear each other up.
Yeah. Roast each other.
Beyond roasting. It's like bullying to a point. So what do we do about that? Well, we got to teach our kids about how to be middle school boys, how to be kind, how to be sensitive, how to stand up for each other, right?
Yeah.
We teach our middle school girls to not be so mean to each other, because they use mean. They start to see the girls as enemies, as they're my competition. Girls might express relationship aggression through exclusion or gossip. We know this is a fact. This is going to happen. So what does that mean for us parents? Well, they need teaching. They need comfort. They need our help. And they need so they can develop resilience and healthy conflict resolution skills. That's coming up again in our episode.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah. And not only teach the girls like how to not be mean and to stay kind, but also how to take meanness and how not to let it impact them, because you know what's going to happen to them.
Well said. And here's a couple things. Here's your big takeaway. Ready? Here's your takeaway. All right. If you were to think about, like, generally speaking, who is, in your mind, Jordan, who is normally making the family dinner every night? Men
normally, if we're in the 1950s, it's the wives, the stay-at-home moms.
How about now? Who's making dinners now?
In my house, it's me, because I want to, and I don't want to wait around. I'm like, I'm going to whip this thing up. So it's me. But I don't know, in your house, is it Danielle? Is she making dinner every night?
We have traded off over the years, but now she is definitely like 80% making dinners.
That's nice.
But what you just said is amazing, because it's a takeaway. It's the number one takeaway for today. What Jordan just said is, hey, in my home, my wife and I have teamed up, and we're adapting to each other's personality. We're adapting to the season at hand, and we're figuring out a system that works for us. Parents,
Yeah.
Do that with your children. Here's a catchy way of saying it. Parent the child you have, not the child you want. Parent the child you have, not the child you were. Parent the child you have, not the child that society is telling you what that child should be doing. That's the takeaway.
Good. That's a great takeaway.
Some of you
adapt.
Some of you grew up playing year-round sports, and your son doesn't want to wakeboard. He doesn't want to play baseball. He doesn't want to play golf. You know what he wants to do? He wants to play the violin.
Awesome.
And he wants to do poetry. You know
That's
who's
cool.
the greatest poet of all time?
Shakespeare?
Shakespeare. I Googled this. Who's the greatest violinist of all time?
Ooh.
Who is the greatest violinist of all time?
I don't know.
His name is Niccolo Pangini. He died
really?
in 1840. Also, there's a violinist who's known as the king of violinists. He died in 1987. His name is Joshua Heitzfest, known for his flawless technique. You think of women cooking? Well, who? I Googled this.
Martha Stewart.
Who is the greatest chef of all time? Have you ever heard of Joelle?
Rachel Ray.
Robuchon. Who?
No.
Robuchon.
Rachel Ray.
Rachel Ray,
Yeah.
right?
No, I have not heard of that.
It's just such an exciting time to be a parent because you get to
Yeah. We can do
parent the
whatever we
child
want.
you have, not the
Yeah.
child you want or the child you were. And that's a great trait. We're going to do a podcast episode that's going to be coming out in a week. It's called 5 Habits of the Best Parents.
Yes.
And
Spanking's got to be on there for sure.
to be a best parent, you're going to have to do this inner work because it's so easy to make parenting about you, your own ego, your own dreams, your own social norms, your own childhood. But the best parents, they're very adaptable to the kids that they have. So my fellow parents, let's do that together. Let's parent the child we have, not the child we want or the child that we were.